एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतान् किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन विष्टव्यममितं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतान् किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन विष्टभायमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन विष्टव्यममिदं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन तव अर्जुन विष्टभायमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन विष्टभायमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन एकं सेन स्थितो जगत् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन विष्टभायमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकं सेन स्थितो जगत्. Okay, so today we're going to now read the word-for-word translation and the purport. So, word for word, Atava, or, Bahuna, many, Yatena, by this kind, Kim, what, Yatena, by knowing, Tava, your, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Vishtavya, pervading, Aham, I, Idam, this, Krishna, entire, Eka, by one, Amsena, part, Stita, am situated, Jagat, universe. Okay, so translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Please repeat after me. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Let us just read through the purport quickly. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by His entering into all things as a super soul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as super soul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a Christian that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Supreme Goal. But worship of demigods is thoroughly discouraged herein, because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is Asam or the Ordva, which means that no one is greater than him. Now, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Puran, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiv, become at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Shri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all-pervading, and the expansion of his partial representation, the Super Soul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees, therefore, concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter, in verses 8 through 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great Acharya in disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, Yad Chakti Desa Suryadya Bhavati Ati Ukradesa Yad Amsena Dridam Vishwam Sa Krishno Dasame Are Archate. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets his power, and by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna is worshipable. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the opulence of the absolutes. Om Agyanativrandasya Jnananjaya Shalakaya Chakshur Umritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Dadati Swapananikam He Krishna Purna Sindhu Leela Bhatta Chitapati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kansha Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusudhe Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakal Madhurudascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Aditanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, so this is the last text that we have in chapter 10. So just to recap as to what is the story, that's all the line of dialogue that is taking place between Krishna and Arjuna. So in the last text of chapter 9, Krishna is telling Arjuna that you should always think of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and become my devotee, and think of me 24/7. So Arjuna comes up with a question that, okay, you're telling me to think of you all the time, but how do I think of you? Like, what is there in this world that allows me to keep on thinking of you? So basically he's trying to understand, how can I focus my mind always thinking about you? And so Krishna then explains the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, that this is the whole way that you can think of me. But he's not yet very, Arjuna is not very much convinced, because he wants to know more and more about his opulences, things that can help him revert his mind to Krishna. So then Krishna describes all his opulences, and opulences which enable one to understand and remember his greatness. Like everyone in this world is attracted by certain opulences. Some people are attracted to somebody's wealth, some people are attracted to somebody's power, some people are attracted to somebody's fame. Like we have always got a crazy following. Like I want to follow this celebrity, I want to follow this singer, or I want to follow this boxer because they're very powerful, or the singer's got a very good voice. So all these opulences they're attracted to. But all of these opulences, the attraction we have with these opulences are but a fragment of Krishna's opulences. Everyone's opulences that you see in this world, they are easily just given by Krishna. It's Krishna's opulences that people have. Because Krishna says in this previous text that I am the ability in man. So any ability that you see in anyone, any intelligence you see in anyone, it is not their intelligence, it's not their ability. It's that ability is given to them by Krishna. So all this is supposed to make us understand that all these opulences point us to the possessor of all the opulences. And that ultimate person is known as Krishna. Okay, so now we're going to go and break down into this text. So the first thing that Krishna says in the first line in the translation, it says, "Well, what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge?" So Krishna has in the previous 20 texts, he has just explained 82 different opulences that within the aquatics I'm the shark, from the animals I'm the lion, and from the immovable objects I'm the Himalayas. So he's given a lot of opulences, 82 opulences. And all of these opulences are like special or splendid opulences, like something that is out of the extraordinary. So he's got a lot of groups of things. And within the group of things, the one thing that is standing out as extraordinary, Krishna is saying that I am that. That I represent that splendor, I represent that extraordinariness in that group. But then Krishna then says that, but what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? So now Krishna is like, I've told you all this, but like what is the point of that? So naturally, this gives a question in our mind as to why does Krishna say this after spending so much time in explaining all this if there was no need, as Krishna is saying here. But there is actually a need. And we have explained this already, that it's because we are attracted by opulence. So until we understand the opulence of the Supreme Lord, we cannot keep our mind fixed in serving Krishna. Now for example, if I tell you that I'm the richest person here, and you'll be like, okay, but what's the proof that you're the richest person? Like I said, look, I want this property, I want this property, I want this property, I want all the properties you see here. By me displaying that I own all of these things, and then I tell you that, look, I am actually the richest person. And then you'll be like, okay, now I believe you. So the first time I said it, you cannot understand it because it's a very complex thing. But once I've been able to make it into your consciousness that, oh, everything that you see or perceive in this world is actually owned by me, then you will believe that I am actually the richest person in this world. You need some sort of evidence. So this opulences that Krishna describes is like an evidence that, look, you see all of these things. And out of all of these things, I am the best. So I am actually the best. So this sort of evidence given by Krishna is needed for Arjuna to fix his mind and make a complex statement into a bit more digestible statements to understand his true position. That is why it was needed. So, Krishna's opulence cannot be described in full. He is unlimited, and his opulences are also unlimited. But just because we cannot quantify it, it does not mean that we cannot discuss his qualities. In fact, it is said that to the degree that we discuss Krishna's qualities, to that degree we get attracted to him. And we get attracted to want to chant his name. The more you discuss these opulences, the more you get attracted to Krishna. And hearing the glorious qualities and opulences of Krishna, it increases our faith and determination to hold on to Krishna's lotus feet. And it makes us convinced of ours by constantly hearing and discussing the opulences of Bhagavan. The more our mind gets attracted, and the more the mind gets attracted, the easier it is to think about that person. Like you have, even if you see in this world, if I tell you to think about a person and to love that person, but you be like, okay, but tell me something more about that person. I don't know how to start having some sort of emotions for that person if I do not know anything about that person. So then you say, oh, this person has got such beautiful features, he's got so much strength, he's got all these good features. Then you can paint a picture in your mind as to how attractive that person might be, and then you might, okay, I can now I can start making some sort of connection to that person. So that way, to make a connection with Krishna, all of these things that Krishna says that are my opulences, we can readily see them in this world. And because we can readily see them in this world, we can perceive of the greatness. And once we are able to perceive the greatness, we will have more attraction to Krishna and to understand that Krishna is the source of all these opulences that we see. So, a devotee is always eager to discuss, understand and appreciate Krishna's qualities. This is the eternal occupation of devotees. Like it is said in this chapter, earlier in the chapter, text number 9, it says that the pure devotees, they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. And this is the part of devotional service. That this increasing of bliss happens when devotees discuss and converse about Krishna to each other. This increases the level of attraction. And then now the second part of the translation. With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So Krishna is using the last two texts of this chapter to combine everything that has been said so far. Krishna is summarizing all the opulences by saying that by a single fragment of myself, he pervades and supports the entire universe. Now this fragment is not like a dead thing, because this fragment is a living person. Now how do we understand this? So in the Shriman Bhagavatam, the entire creation of this world is given. And in this creation, there is Krishna who is the original person, original supreme person. Then he expands into Balaram, and then from that expansion, there comes a quadruple expansion. And then from the quadruple expansion, we have one more expansion and then another quadruple expansion. So you have 1, 4, 1, 4. And then from that, there is another expansion. And that expansion is known as Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is God who is maintaining this entire material, is creating and destroying universes with each breath. Every time Mahavishnu breathes out, from every pore of his body, an entire universe is created. And every time he breathes in, all the universes are sucked into him. And when he breathes out, again the universes come out. Now, there are millions and millions of pores. So every time he breathes in and breathes out, there are millions and billions of universes that are created. And within each of this universe, there is an expansion of Mahavishnu. He expands himself and enters into each and every universe. And his expansion is known as Garbha Udaka Shai Vishnu. Garbha means womb. So, in the womb of that universe, he lies down on the golden ocean. So that is known as Garbha Udaka Shai Vishnu. He enters into each universe and maintains and sustains that universe. And then from that Garbha Udaka Shai Vishnu, from his navel sprouts another, like a lotus bloom, a lotus flower. And on the top of that lotus flower, Who is born? Anyone knows? Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is born on the lotus flower that's emanating from Garbhodakshai's navel. And then he is called the secondary creator. Because the first creator is Mahavishnu. He's created the first universe, the big universe. And then within each universe, there's innumerable number of Brahmas. There's one Brahma for each universe. So you can imagine that there are millions and billions of Brahmas. And the Brahma for this universe creates all the layers, 14 layers in this universe. And then once he's done creating these 14 layers, then Krishna, or Garbhodakshai Vishnu, expands himself into Kshirodakshai Vishnu and enters each and every atom of this universe. So everywhere there is Krishna in the form of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He is Vishnu in every atom. It's what keeps every atom alive, or keeps every atom sustaining every atom. It's the Kshirodakshai Vishnu which is present in every atom that sustains it. So you can see that the creator and the maintainer is just different avatars of Krishna, of Mahavishnu. And this Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu, these are known as the Purusha avatars of Bhagavan. They are in charge of maintaining and sustaining the entire material universe. So that's how we understand how Krishna, his fragment are these three, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. This is just a fragment of him, and they are maintaining this entire material world. Not only our universe, but all universes in the material world. So you can just imagine how powerful Krishna is, that he's not even doing it. It's just his expansions, and that expansion does it. Not only him, like so many different expansions afterwards, that work is being done. So you can imagine how powerful and opulent Krishna would be. And then now we move back, now we look in the purpose. Prabhupada writes that the Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universe by his entering into all things as the Super Soul, which we just discussed, that he maintains the entire universe as the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Even in the Brahma Samhita, Brahma Samhita is the prayers offered by Brahma to Krishna. And in these prayers, he declares Krishna to be Supreme Personality of Godhead. He declares Krishna to be the highest, the original primeval Lord. So he says, Anda Antarasta Parmanu Jaya Antarastam. So Anda means like an egg. So this entire universe is in the form of an egg. And Anda Antarasta. So in that egg, he enters into each universe. And Parmanu Anujaya means in every atom, Antarastam, he pervades and permeates into every atom within this universe. So he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. So this we can understand that even through Brahma's words, that how Krishna is maintaining and sustaining the entire creation. And so it's also interesting to understand that there are two different expansions, the Kshirodakshai Vishnu and Mahavishnu. The Kshirodakshai Vishnu is maintaining the smallest of smallest atoms, while Mahavishnu is creating big universes. But they're still part of this, they're still the same expansion, or the same potencies of Vishnu's expansion. So it's inconceivable how Krishna is able to do both things at the same time. He's able to become bigger than the biggest, and at the same time become smaller than the smallest. He's able to become heavier than the heaviest, and also the lighter than the lightest. So it's inconceivable as to how Krishna is able to sustain everything through his expansions. Moving on to the purport, Prabhupada writes that he should know that all things are existing due to Krishna entering them as super soul. So he says that all things are existing, not one, not two, all things. So this all things also includes us. So as I said earlier, now whatever ability we have, we should not be proud of it, because ultimately that ability is a gift from Krishna. In English, there is a proverb that says that one should not be proud of borrowed plumes. So we have all these opulences or possessions. These are just like our borrowed plumes. We are given this in our lifetime because of our karmas. But does not mean that we own it. Because even this body, we don't own this body. Because at the time of death, we are going to leave this body behind and move on in our journey, multi-life journey. So anything that is connected to this body, whatever we get, whatever intelligence, any ability, any power, anything that we get is just like borrowed plumes. It can be snatched away at any time. So we should not be proud of that. And we should understand that Krishna is ultimately the doer of all things. So once we understand that, then naturally that humbles us. And with that humility, we can apply it into our services, and that will please Krishna. Just like how Arjuna on the battlefield, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he tells Krishna that I'm now an instrument to you. You can use me however you want to use me. So he's the greatest archer in the world, and he's giving himself, he's surrendering himself to Krishna. And he says that now you direct me as to how you want me to fight this war. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to use all my ability, all my skills, and I'm going to apply it in the direction that you tell me to apply it. And so that is why Arjuna is celebrated as the greatest archer, because he became an instrument to Krishna's will. And Krishna is able to defeat the entire Mahabharata war, or defeat the entire Kaurava army through the use of Arjuna. Similarly, we have the example of Prabhupada, who at 78 years of age, he goes from India and tries to spread the message of Krishna consciousness to the entire world. And it is even said that in his journey on the ship called Jaladutta from Calcutta to New York, to Boston, he had suffered 2 heart attacks on the ship, and yet he continued. And he even wrote a poem. He wrote a poem on board the ship, and he says that, I do not know why you have brought me here. So he writes a poem to Krishna, and he says that I do not know why you have brought me to this place. This place is full of materialism and voidism. There's no strength of goodness here. But because you have brought me here, you must have a plan for me. So I am now a puppet in your hands. You make me dance as you like. So Prabhupada writes that in a poem, and he's surrendering himself to Krishna, and he becomes such an instrument of Krishna that within 11 years, he travels the globe in 14 times and opens 108 temples at the age of 70. Now imagine if you are at that age, how much your body must be paining, how much your body must be hurting. And in that advanced age, you have taken up this task of doing Krishna's work, or doing his Guru's work, and going around the globe 14 times and traveling basically every single day and establishing 108 temples. It is no mean feat. It is a miracle, if you want to call it. But that extraordinary work is basically Krishna acting through Prabhupada. Right? So this is how people become instruments of Krishna. And once you are able to use your abilities and surrender yourself to Krishna, you are also able to utilize your abilities to grand scale, to very grand scale. Finally, we have the last point in this purport, which says that the worship of any demigod will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Supreme Goal. Worship of any demigod. Now this sentence is heavily criticized by Prabhupada. He says that there is no way that one path can lead, or any path can lead to one destination. It's like you just take any flight that departs from the airport. Will it always take you to Nairobi? Will it always take you to one place? No, because each flight has its own predestined path, or its predestined destination. So it's not that whichever flight you get on, you will reach the same destination. That doesn't work. Otherwise, there's no point of having so many paths. There just has to be one path. So this called yato paths. So whatever you think is right is right. That sort of thinking is heavily criticized because you cannot take any path and declare that to take you to the main destination of the Supreme Court. Because if that is the case, then the people who say that, they do not know what the Supreme Court is. There is one path. There is one path only, but then there are different gradations to that path. So how do we understand this? So think of not paths, but think of a ladder. There is one ladder, and on that ladder there is the topmost place, and then there's different steps that get you up and up and up the ladder. So Bhagavan, to realize God truly, that is the highest point. And then there are so many other features of Bhagavan that some people are looking for understanding Bhagavan, who truly Bhagavan is. For them, the Bhagavan aspect or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the personality aspect of God was interesting to them. Then there are some people who like meditating, who are not capable of understanding the personal aspect of God, but they think that God is within them, which is also true. So for them, they come one step lower, which is they are meditators, or that they are meditating on the God within them. Because we said that Krishna as the super soul is there in every atom and every soul. Is part and parcel is a constant companion of the soul. So the meditators focus on that version of Krishna. And then there is the impersonalist. They believe only in the impersonal, that God is light, that God is formless, that God is impersonal. They are one step lower. They are called impersonalists. They only believe in Bhagavan being the Brahman aspect. And then finally, there are people who are not at all willing to acknowledge God, but they are very much busy in their material activities. How to lead a better life, how to make this life the most pleasurable. So when doing that, we do a lot of activities, but that activities, the person who gives the fruits for that activities, known as Krishna as Yagneshwar, the Lord of the sacrifices, he is the one who gives benedictions. So no matter which level you are at, Krishna is giving you rewards accordingly to what your consciousness is. So this is verbatim from the Bhagavad Gita in 4.11. Krishna says that as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So Krishna is saying that there is only one path, which is my path, but then there are so many different levels of consciousness in which you can understand me. So for how we can understand this fully, we say we have a book. Say we have this book. Now you will see this book in a 3D shape, but if I only showed you the front cover and I said only this much is a book, then you'll only get the front, only one aspect of it. If I show you the book being this way, you might say, okay, so the book is only very thin, like very thin, and not very wide, very long but not very wide. Or if I show you this way, then you'll be like, okay, the book is only this much. But none of these three in total give you the full picture. The full picture is when I tilt it this way and you can see all three sides to the book. Then only can you get a full picture of the dimensions of the book. If I just show you a 2D effect, you will not understand it. But if I show you a 3D effect, you will understand the full dimension of the book. So similarly, a devotee is a person who knows all the aspects. He knows all the aspects of Bhagavan, but he is going for the topmost, which is the Bhagavan aspect. He is going for the personal aspect of God, because that is the highest. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't know all these other ones. He knows all of these on top of him knowing actually who Bhagavan is. That's the highest level of understanding. So, and even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna said, it said that whether one is without desire, or his desires are called fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should, with all efforts, try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. So this verse from the Bhagavatam also shows that there is only one path, which is like a ladder, and no matter where you are on the ladder, you should still only worship Krishna and no one else, because that's where the root is, that's where the original Bhagavan is. And then a very heavy statement is, it says that in the Padma Puran, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with the demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. So how does one become an atheist by considering all Krishna to be in the stack of demigods? So he says that you're an atheist because you do not know the true picture. And if you do not know the true picture itself, you are very much likely to mislead yourself and mislead others. And so that is why you're called an atheist, because of your incomplete understanding, you are propounding something that is not true. So that is why it will be called an atheist. Alright? So that is all that is there in this verse. If anyone has got any questions, any comments, then they can speak up or you can call it class. Okay. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.